सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः, भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः, स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः, स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः, स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः, स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Let's chant the seventh mantra. Na antah pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubhayatah pragyam, na pragyanaganam, na pragyam, na pragyam, adrishtam avyavaharyam, agrahyam, alakshanam, achintyam, avyapadeshyam, ekatma pratyayasaram, prapancha upashamam, shantam shivam advaitam chaturtham manyante sa atma sabhikyeyaha. You know, when I started these series of classes on Mandukya, Karika, this is our class number 95. If you recall, I had mentioned at that time that I intended to use the Mandukya Karika as a basis for taking a broader view of Vedanta, almost like a course. So, and the reason I'll tell you why I'm mentioning that. So I wanted to use, that's not the right word, but I wanted to take the opportunity of taking the Mandukya Karika as an alambanam. This is a very interesting concept called alambanam. So alambanam means a basis, a kind of like a center, a fulcrum, on which you build an edifice of thought, of behavior, about the view of life, and the direction of a life. This is called. This is interesting. I was just reading. I happened to see, by the way, a series of talks by Swami Akhandananda on, it's called Gita in the Dainik Jivan. Gita in Dainik Jivan. What it means is Gita in the daily life. And so he had given 30 different talks on it. And what I found remarkable, I just happened to run into it. I was just searching for something on YouTube and found this, was how well the audio is. If you're those of you that are Hindi speaking and understand it, you may want to look that up. So I've started kind of looking into it in my own study. And so he makes this point very well. It's very interesting. He says that the Vedas are called the Sanatana Dharma. You know these words very well know, I'm sure. But the meaning of it was interesting, how it was unfolded by Swamiji. He says this is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana, of course, is a prefix which means ancient, which means timeless. But the word dharma is the one that he really explained very well. So I'm going to go over that to some extent, and then tie it up to the 7th verse. So this is what I'm saying, that the alambanam is the Mandukya, but there is a reason for bringing a lot of different aspects, viewpoints to explain the alambanam. By the way, Swami Yogananda points out that people may not understand this, that the whole idea to have puja done for a formful devata like Ganesha or Krishna or Rama is in the form of an alambanam. So what he says is that the alambanam makes a point of focusing your mind on a base and then understanding the enormity of thought surrounding that base. People don't get that. In fact, Hinduism is heavily criticized, especially by Muslims. Really almost all competing, so-called competing views. The Islam is one, Christianity is another one, Judaism is another one. They all say, why are you praying to a murti? What they don't understand, and in fact many of the Hindus themselves do not understand this, that this is not praying to a murti or a vigraha, but to understand the vigraha as an alambanam, to then expand your understanding of what the devata means. And it is much more difficult to visualize those thoughts until you have an alambanam. So this is true for our thinking also. Whenever you think of something, you have to have some form. You talk about a person. So you visualize the person, or you talking to the person. But then there is much more to the person than simply the form. So the form is not the only thing, but the form makes it very easy for you to communicate, to think, and to expand your understanding. This is the meaning of the alambanam. Anyway, I just mentioned that because I'm fulfilling the promise to myself that even though the Mandukya Karika is an alambanam, it is not just the whole thing. There's a lot of aspects to that. And so we will look into some aspects of that today. The aspects that Swami Akhandananda explains in these Gita talks on Gita in the Dainik Jivan is the word dharma. The word dharma is very, very complex, multifaceted, subtle, possibly confusing word which has so many different aspects to it that one can focus on. Very well, we'll look into some aspects of that today and then bring it out to eventually to the Mandukya Karika. So, the Vedic teaching is called Sanatana Dharma. And we'll go into some aspects of that today. But as an introduction, Swamiji says, we do not find anything else in the whole universe that can be called a complete dharma. And so the dharma here means a view of life that completes your journey of life. And that journey of life means transformation from limitedness to unlimitedness, from apurna to purna, from anitya to nitya, from a sense of being born and dying to a sense of not being born and not possible to die, and from a sense of limitations with respect to the worldly dukkha to complete independence. So this comprehensive, detailed, complete view of how to do this, what is it, is called dharma. So the dharma, of course, has both sadhya and sadhana. Where are you really wanting to go? Where are you going really? And this is what we were saying, from anityam to nityatvam, so dukkha to sukham, from apurnatvam to purnatvam. This is where we're going. And the question is, where am I going wrong? Why am I not on the right direction? What do I need to do? So this set of both sadhya and sadhana, which is a complete view of everyone's life, is encompassed in the word dharma. And then Swamiji says that we do not find any other dharma based on this kind of a definition. So he says that all the other viewpoints, you can call it religions, you can call it spiritual schools of thought, what have you, are called matam, not dharma. Matam. Matam means a point of view for something very specific. This is a point of view. I remember Swami Dayanandji making this point as well. I'm really just struck by how consistent the vision of the two Mahatmas that I really spend a lot of time, Swami Dayanandji and Swami Akhandanandaji, and all, many others at the same time. How consistent their view is, how clear. This makes me feel this is it. And even I can now see, I can even tell if I read a book or somebody's view, whether it is consistent with this view or not. Anyway, Swami Dayanandji used to say that in a way, how we view our life is a point of view. Is, for example, in going back to what Swami Akhandananda was saying, that we view the world and the life from the standpoint of this body-mind complex. This is me. Okay? Okay, so this is my viewpoint. Where am I? When am I? What am I? How do I deal with things? This is all from the standpoint of a body-mind consciousness. This is what is called point of view. So my particular point of view. You have a different point of view. I have a different point of view. We all have separate points of view. Swami Dayananda used to say this. I remember that. I didn't quite understand the full implications of that at that time, 30, 40 years ago. But I have a better idea now. Swami Dayananda used to say, this is a point of view. The question is, what is the view? Which means, what is the reality? Point of view means you are looking at it from a particular standpoint. That's okay. But what is the reality of something what is the view itself rather than the point of view? So going back to Swami Akhandananda, he says that all the other so-called religions, not so-called, they are religions or spiritual point of views and spiritual schools of thought are matam. Matam means a point of view. Let's take an example. Take Arya Samaj. I mentioned that because my mother's family were all followers of Arya Samaj. Arya Samaj was founded by Swami Dayananda Saraswati more than 100, 150 years ago. I don't know the exact time period. And so that's the original Swami Dayananda Saraswati. And so he started this religion called Arya Samaj. And when I was brought up as a youngster, we were followers of Arya Samaj. And it is really my fortune, quite frankly. If I'd stayed in India, I don't know if I would have had to explore not just the point of view which Arya Samaj is, but the view itself, which is Sanatana Dharma. And Ishvara has been very kind to me. Usually all this Sanatana Dharma you should find in India. But I had to come all the way to the US because of health problems and educational opportunities and so on. And then I started exploring outside, independent of my family's influence, on my own thinking. That's when I met Swami Chinmayananji, Swami Dayananda, which is Sanatana Dharma. Anyway, Arya Samaj, just to give you an example, is a matam. It's a point of view. What is the matam and why did he do that? He felt, by the way, the same thing is true of Sikhism, Guru Nanak's Sikhism. And really speaking, as far as we can tell, Jainism, Buddhism, and not to speak of Islam and Christianity and Judaism and all that, they were all also the similar things. They were all started by one person with a particular viewpoint for a particular purpose. So in the case of Arya Samaj, for example, the purpose was that people were spending too much time not really understanding they were spending too much time on the alambanam, not understanding the depth of the view behind the alambanam. So Swami Dayanand, in our view, mistakenly, but nevertheless, he felt that we should not even encourage that at all. So don't even go to the temple. Do not have pictures of anything. So that was the influence of, in some way, Islam. Because the Islam also feels that you should not do any formful puja. It should all be formless. So Swami Dayanand Saraswati, the original one, thought that for the purpose of educating some people that are too involved in Murti Puja, we should really turn their attention towards something else. This is a very specific and perhaps justifiably so. So social welfare, these are all social welfares for particular people. So really speaking, all matams, all religious thoughts are very specific for specific purposes. Not so the dharma. The dharma is not a point of view, it is the view itself. What is the truth? Then you can adopt the methods to your situation, but you should know what the truth is. So in the explanation that Swami Akhandananda gives on the Bhagavad Gita, as starting with Sanatana Dharma, one of the things that he talks about, which is very relevant to what we are studying, and everything is relevant to what we are studying, but something very specific is the drawing of the line between aham and idam. Between I and this. This is where the Atma Vichara, the inquiry, the Viveka, the quest for understanding should begin. This should be what we focused on. Drawing the line between aham and idam. And what is happening is that we are drawing the line between the two at the wrong place. That's it. The principles remain the same. What is the principle? It is really basically Trik Trishya Viveka. Meaning that if you look at our lives that we lead, it consists of me and everything else. Everything else is idam. Idam means this. It doesn't mean that. That is also included in this. And I. This is what my life is. That's what it consists of. And my drawing the line between me and this makes the total difference between dukkha and sukha, between problems and joy. This is where the problem is. And Swami Akhandananda points out, I've only read three or four different, maybe four episodes of this 30-episode introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. He says the entire purpose of the Bhagavad Gita is for you to redraw the line correctly. This boundary, line meaning the boundary between aham and idam correctly. That's it. That's the process that we have to follow. How does that mean? So what he's saying is, see now look at this interesting thing. You and I do not have any confusion that the table that we see as this is not me. We don't have any confusion. So there's no problem. I know what I am and I know what I'm not. Easy. So the question we ask is, how do you define this? How do you define this? Idam. How do you define idam? So we say idam is not something what I can cognize, I can see, I can visualize, I can see. I am the seer, and what I see is the drishyam. It is idam. That's very clearly. So then we say, okay, now can you explain? You're seeing the table that you can say, I am not the table. Are you not seeing this hand? Yes, I'm seeing this hand. You're seeing this is the hand. Why are you calling the hand as I? You're both the table and your hand are drishya for you, aren't they? Yes. You are calling one of them as I, even though it's a drishya. And the other one you are calling it as idam, even though it is still drishya. Oh, I see. Well, I don't know, I'm calling this as me because, if you drop a 10-pound weight on the table, I don't feel it. But if you drop a 10-pound weight on my hand, oh my gosh. The pain immediately comes. So that's very clear. This is what my... But I don't know how to explain this idam, aham, idan, etc. So this confusion between aham and idam as to where do you draw the line is the basis of our problems. So here is where Vedanta offers the solution in the form of viveka, Atma Anatma Viveka. You are not, you are not viewing the truth of things. You have taken a liking to your own body and you say, I don't care what, this is me. And the rest of that is not me. This is all that I am doing. Let us help you with the right kind of viveka, is what the Dharma says. Dharma, now we can come back to Vedanta. Vedanta is simply the part of understanding of the Dharma. So here's where the right kind of teaching starts. And this is very interesting. Swami Khadananda points this out very well. This is a kind of a new way of looking at it. And I thought I would present that as part of this analysis. So he says, look, you say you are the body. Yes. Okay, let us examine this conclusion. And normally Vedanta, the teaching of Vedanta is, this is a mistake, you are not the body, then you should just think out of the box, and so on. So you're kind of disparaging your conclusion that you are the body, isn't it? Yes, that's exactly how Vedanta presents itself. There is an alternative way of looking at your relationship with the body, which is this. So listen to this. He says, let's examine what your body is. From the very beginning, we can say that it's an assembly of different parts functioning together. Very much like a car. The car is an assembly of different disparate parts, some of them energy, some of them mass, all working together to make things happen. Okay, that's right. The body is very much like that. What you find is that there are different parts. There's a part of the mind that is aware of how what is going on, and there are your hands for a particular purpose. Your legs are there for the particular purpose. Your stomach is there for a particular purpose. Your skin is there. The inside of the skin is there. Lots of different parts all functioning together. And by the way, another thing that you may see as a comparison, sort of like a contrast between the car and the body, is that some of the parts are visible to you and some of the parts are invisible, in the sense you don't understand how they are being functioning. Like, for example, if your tire is flat, that you and I can fix, or we can get it fixed. But if there are some problems with the engine, then we need to find an expert, because we don't know we don't know how exactly it functions. So there's that part of it. Things that we know, things that we don't know. Same thing with the body. There are things that I can fix. If I get a cut on my skin, then I know how to fix it. But there are things in my body that I am not aware. What are they? How are they functioning? It's just amazing. It's a very sophisticated machine with lots of different parts all working together. And I don't know how it is. So this is what Ishvara's presence is really, not only in things that it's visible to you, but behind the scene, there's a lot of stuff going on that is making the body function. So there's that part of it. Okay. Another thing is, there is a law in which Vedanta points out. It is not limited to Vedanta, but Vedanta basically points out certain truths. And one of the truths it points out is that any assembly, purposeful assembly like a car or a cell phone or a body, is not meant for itself, but it is meant for someone other than itself. This is a very good law. You cannot question this law, and it is an important thing to understand that body is an assembly for someone else. Car is an assembly for someone else. So this needs to be remembered. Someone else, it is not by itself. Okay. Another thing. The whole body means the body-mind complex, the mind, the sense organs, the whole thing, is really functioning well, and you are generally satisfied with it. If there are problems, then you can, as we said, you can either fix it yourself. There's something very unique about the body, by the way, which is that it is, for a large extent, fixable. Unlike the car, anything breaks, it needs help from outside. But in the case of the body, it generally speaking fixes itself. If you have a scratch on the skin, I actually got a scratch some days ago, and you can put some ointment just to make sure that it doesn't get infected from outside. But otherwise, the skin grows slowly and makes the wound go away. So there's a self-fixability of the body, which is something very unique, very interesting. Another thing, what happens is that sometimes one part of the body injures some other part of the same body. So there are conflicts sometimes that occur. Both Swami Dayanandji and Swami Akhandanandi gave this. This must be something very from the ancient times, because both refer to the same kind of examples and so on. Both said, sometimes your teeth bite your tongue. That happens to all of us. You're talking too quickly, or you're eating, or something like this, and your teeth clamps down on your tongue. Swami Khanananda also gives an example. Sometimes, unwittingly, your hand goes into your eye. And the eye is a very sensitive instrument. Amazing. It's a very beautiful camera. And the hand is much more gross compared to the eye. But it happens, sometimes it can go into the eye and injures the eye. The tears can fall out and so on. In both cases, one part of the body bothers another part of the body. There's a conflict. Now, what is your attitude when that happens? This is very interesting to see. Your attitude is, oh no, but that's okay. Don't do this again. Be careful. And you go on. What you don't do is to say, teeth, you are the culprit. I'm just going to break you. You don't do that. So conflicts are accepted, dealt with, and you go on for the larger good of the body. Why is that? Because this follows the dharma towards your body. You have a certain dharma. Dharma here means a functioning instrument which you are generally satisfied with. You are accepting it and you utilize it for traversing your life. Right? Now we need to take the lesson of this and go on to the next point. Okay, I have to talk to somebody on my main door. Somebody worker is working, and so I'll be right back. It'll take me about a minute or so. Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's what's up. So to summarize that point, dharma here means that you have a holistic, agreeable, comfortable, and even a happy relationship with your own body-mind complex. Right? If there are problems with it, you deal with it, seek some help, and you go on. What the Sanatana Dharma, the very teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, what Vedanta, and what specifically the Mandukya Karika is saying is, take this as an example to do two things. One is take a larger view of the entire universe that you are seeing as this. So seeing the world as this and seeing your body as this are very similar. Very similar. Somehow we miss the point. We miss the point because we draw the boundary between aham and idam wrongly. The world I see is idam, but the body I see is aham. So two things. If you were to utilize the example of your holistic, agreeable, happy relationship with your body as a stepping stone, as a useful example, then you now apply the same thing for the entire universe. And in the process of doing so, you redraw the boundary between aham and idam correctly. So what happens is that we are born with because we wanted to explore. Every life is the desire to understand what is going on, how to be happy. Really speaking, the entire universe is made out of ananda, satchit and ananda, joy. The very basis of the whole universe is joy. And the reason we take a birth as a human being, as any living being, and especially as a human being, is to obtain that joy. But because we are making a mistake of taking this body-mind complex as aham, we are not able to see our own understanding as Ananda. But the quest remains the same. And finally there comes a point where the Sanatana Dharma says, here is where you're making the mistake. You are Ananda, but you do not understand it because you have a certain Brahma towards who you understand to be yourself. This is the issue. And the way to solve this issue is to now see, and this is what Swami Akhandananda so beautifully pointed out, that you see the example where a functioning assemblage you are comfortable with. It's just your own decision, and understandably, that this is me, and you are very comfortable with it. Let us show you how you can be comfortable with the entire world. Same thing. This also has an assembly meant for somebody else. The whole life experience, the entire life's experience can be called as a very sophisticated assembly. It is not just a single body, but the entire body. This is exactly what samashti is. So Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. So there's hardware, there's software, there's intelligence, there's mind. The whole thing is an assembly. And the whole thing is an assembly for you. You are different from the assembly. But you should see that do not limit your life to just this one body-mind complex, but to explore that you are the entire body of the whole universe is available for you to understand that you are the recipient of why this whole thing is. This has to be understood. And it has to be understood because this is what is called Sanatana Dharma. It is not something specific for something doing puja or doing meditation, or as Buddhists say, just do meditation, you'll be okay. Nothing like that. This is much more complex, much more sophisticated, much more complete, comprehensive. And try to understand it. And if it does, you cannot do it, that's okay. Just start on that process. Might take lives, doesn't matter. So this is where the instructions comes in. So it says now, this is where the viveka comes in. So now we can start to close the loop, with what we have been studying and how we are proceeding. As we saw that the first step, and by the way, this is not something that is not true, not as though this is not something that is not achievable. It is already achieved, but we don't see it that way, that's all. So the first step, as we saw, was to see that you are aware of the entire Virat. We have not thought about it, that's all. It's not as though you have to do something to be aware of that. No. You just have to see this fact which was missing from our thinking. If you just look at it either with your eyes closed or with your eyes open, doesn't matter. Just look at this fact. The entire universe springs from you and dissolves in you. You are aware of not just this body, but you are aware of the entire cosmos. The entire cosmos is like an assembly, and you are aware of the whole cosmos. This is the first step. There is only one Chaitanya Vastu, one conscious entity. And that's you. And you are aware of the entire cosmos. And there are parts of the cosmos that are all interconnected, like the parts of your own body. All interconnected, all functioning. There are parts of the body that are also conflicting with each other occasionally. Tolerate them. Go on. Do not stop and get involved in specific things in order to punish or to reward. Let Ishvara take care of it. Like in a body, you have a holistic approach towards your own body. Have a holistic approach towards the entire cosmos. Not because the cosmos needs you, but for you to correct the inaccurate assessment of who you are. This is the thing. The whole cosmos is for you. You are not there for the cosmos. Yes, you play some role in it. Yes. But the Sanatana Dharma means just as you have a very beautiful relationship with your own body, you can have a very beautiful relationship with the whole cosmos. And you should. If you do that, you know what will happen? What will happen is that the boundary between aham and idam will be at the correct place, not at a wrong, faulty place. The entire Brahma turns into Prama, into understanding. And how that happens is with this Drik Drishya Viveka. And the Drik Drishya Viveka means that Drishya and Drik are not mixed up together. You see, this is what happens, very interesting. This is what we were studying in the last few classes also, that in the beginning, the Drik and Drishya are all mixed up without any distinction between them. So for example, this is exactly what happens. When you say my body is both an idam as well as aham, Swami Dayanand used to say that this is even grammatically wrong. Forget about wisdom. From a standpoint of language also, this and I are different. But here, in the case of the hand, they are unresolved. It's confusing. Is it this or is it me? So, this is the result of the fact this is aviveka. So, we all start in our life with aviveka, where the idam and aham are all mixed together. But then, as Sanatana Dharma, the Vedanta Vedas points out, please, 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 take the next step, doing Driksha Viveka. And here it means doing the right Viveka of what is Drishya and what is Drik. So understand this. Drishya means so many different aspects of it. This is what na antaf pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubhayataf pragyam. This is what it is pointed out. It is not thoughts, it is not objects, it's not feelings. So this is all Drishya. All these are antapragyam and bahishpragyam and ubhayatapragyam and pragyanaganam and pragyam na apragyam. All these are drishya. And every drishya you should see has some common aspects. We already know what they are. They all have a beginning and an end. They have unresolved, this is called anirvachaniyam. You cannot completely know everything about it. Not knowable. And they are also jadam. They are inert. And you know the meaning of inert. Inert doesn't mean a table. Inert means one that needs dependency for someone else to show what it is. One which is not Swayam Prabha. It doesn't have its own consciousness. It is reflected consciousness. So, for example, so this is all pointed out so well in the Drikdrishya Viveka. Lochanam Drishyam, Rupam Drishyam, Lochanam Drik, Tad Drishyam Driktu Manasam, Drishyaha Dhivrittaya Sakshi Drigeva Natu Drishyate. So there, all these, the Rupam Drishyam, Lochanam Drik means that the eye is the Drik. So you think that the eye has consciousness? No. It has consciousness, but it has reflected consciousness. So reflected consciousness is not Chaitanam, it is Jadam. Exactly like an appliance. The eye is an appliance. Only electricity is, in that example, Chaitanyam. All the appliances are reflecting Chaitanyam, reflected electricity. So going back to the analysis of Drishyam, everything is Drishyam because it has a specific beginning, specific end. It is changing, unknowable, completely. You can only know a few things, but not everything. And it is Jadam. It depends on someone else to tell what it is. This is Drishyam, 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 Drishyam. Idam, 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 idam. Drik, on the other hand, is totally different. It is one without a second, unchanging, no duplication, unborn, always there, self-existing, self-aware, Swayam Prabha, Swayam Bhavati, Swayam Bhu. It's one thing which resolve all differences. And all differences depend upon whom? This is Drik. And you are that Drik. And so from that standpoint, both your individual body and the entire cosmos is Drishya. This is where you should be drawing the line. Not drawing the line that idam is aham. You see? This is the clarification. So, we're running out of time and we'll continue this in the next class, but just to close the loop, as we saw, that the Viveka has several steps to it. One is, it's all mixed up. Drik and Drishya are all mixed up. Number two, the Drik and Drishya are separated. Number three, the Drishya has a lower level of reality than Drik. And once you understand that, that means an understanding of Drik totally. And that will only come when we start doing the second part of the seventh mantra. Adrishtam avyavaharyam agrahyam, etc. So we will go into that in more detail. But once you know that Sat, which is a higher level of reality, then Drishya no longer has a hold on you. As we saw in the example of the a scorpion, that the scorpion, if it looks like a scorpion, it's scary. If the world looks like real, it is very scary. But once you understand that it has a lower level of reality than you, the Drik, the Sakshi, it becomes like a toy scorpion. It's laughable. So therefore, the Sanatana Dharma is a very complete science of what is the truth of life. It is not just a matam, it is not just a viewpoint. It's a comprehensive, complete understanding. This is what Vedas are. Why this is called Sanatana Dharma. And all it means is that I need to understand it, understand myself. And if I understand what is being said, then my own understanding of myself, the understanding of the world, understanding of what Ishvara is, all becomes clear, resulting in the basis of our life, which is Ananda. So we'll keep on exploring this, using the Mandukya as a alambanam, but really building a comprehensive case of understanding. So we'll do that in the next class. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay, good to see you all. We'll see you next week.